Welcome to Specifi. This is the first screen of the software where you will find in the top left corner the buttons to begin the creation of a project and the design document shortcuts which we wish to use. These can be the creation of design drawings either in AutoCAD or Revit and a separate quote. In the center of the screen you will find a search bar that contains a list of projects where we can enter the reference of the project or choose a pre-selected time interval that could contain previously edited projects. For example, files modified within the last month, in the last 3 months, or even 6 months ago, and if we prefer, we can search using a custom date range. The next two buttons are used to start the search for the selected project or to remove the applied filters. The grey buttons located at the top right of the screen relate to Specifi's customizable settings and our integrated help request procedure. Clicking the Help button, a screen will open and guide you to the creation of an assigned user ticket that will be automatically received by our help desk. Also here you will find the Info About Specifi button. Pressing it will open the screen where you can review the version of Specifi installed on your computer and any details of the license agreements which Specifi confirms with. Moving to the bottom of the screen, we have 4 different tabs. The first one, Projects, refers to the main screen of Specifi when double-clicking the icon on your desktop. Customer is used to create new client-based information. We will now begin an example by showing you how to include your own company's details. When inside the Customers tab at the top left of the screen, we can find the Plus button, and pressing it will open a screen where this information can be added. We enter the name of the company. Then we can enter the full address and other important details, such as the country of origin, email address, the website details, and any other information we wish to be published on the completed quote. We can associate a contact related to the company. In this first instance, only the user of Specifi is displayed in the list. This is because the field contains the first set of contact information automatically created when Specifi was installed. However, we can also create a new contact, just as we have created a new company and associate the information to this contact. If we wish to amend who is to receive the quote, for example, it is a customer company, we can create a commercial contact rather than a designer contact. The credentials of the user will then be saved in our database in the contact list. We can go firstly into Contacts, or when we are creating the company, add it to the second tab. Reviewing again the General Data tab, where we have all the company's information, we can save the company information, close it, and then go back to the general screen related to our companies. We have now created new information and can close the screen. Let's go back to the main screen, which is referred to as the Project screen, which details the list of projects, and navigate to the specification settings. Click the button in the top right corner, illustrated as a mechanical cog. Then, moving to the label General refers to master settings, such as the interface or database language, the country where we are using the software, and the currency, from which the various currency conversions in the offer allow us to set. We can adjust the particular units of measurement related to the data within Specifi. We can see there are 3 options related to the automatic generation of project code and file code. The one related to the customer code, as a way of convenience, is to always leave the selection box as automatically generated, because the company code is important for the overall database structure when you create the file with all the data related to the company. You are going to be creating both yours and the customer's information. To begin, the file information must have a code with an identification number. As a rule of how the database is structured, then for the user of Specifi when requiring to search for a company, you can always locate it by company name and not by code. Relating to the information for the automatic generation of the project and file code, it is much more important. Specifi requires each generation of a new project to have a project folder, which is created within the general folder, and then a file folder, which is the subfolder within which we will then generate the design files and associated offers. Automatically, a code can be generated for both the project and the files. Let's now see how this code is generated. We have 4 different modules available to generate our formula. selecting one that falls within the operations of your company. For example, some companies have a category already predefined, and others that instead leave the generation to the discretion of the user. In this example, we can insert the initials of the Specifi user, in this case Specifi demo, and a hyphen to create the appropriate text formation. Then we can choose which of these parts we want to use for the generation of the code. In this case, the first part of the code is 1 year. If I click on the year, you see that the options on the right change, and we can choose whether we require 4 digits or only 2 digits. And in the case of this year, we also put 4 digits. And once selected the option by double-clicking on the year, here you see that we have a preview of the code generation, and we can see how the automatic code generation will evolve. Then we can choose to put a month and a year. The starting value has no meaning because the month data is taken from the Windows information. Double-clicking on month, we can see that it has been added to the code generation. Then we can continue by choosing to have a progressive number at the end of each project, generated within the same year and month. And in this example, we can start from number 1 and then the number of digits. If we already know that we will not be completing more than 100 projects in that month between all the users and specifications of our company, we can leave just 2. We can change the number of digits. Double-click on the progressive number, and this will be the generation of the new project code. For the generation of the file code and the subfolder, we proceed in the same way. This process is very useful for users of Specifi Quote, creating an automated schedule of numbers for the file references. Every time we create a project automatically, Specifi will generate the file information with an automatically generated code. Or if we do not choose this option, the software will automatically perform the task and generate the same code as the project. This enables you to modify a particular code associated with the file information. As an example, we can select to automatically begin the file code generation, and here we use as the formula for the project code generation, which we created previously, then the code of the main folder. And then we can enter a progressive number deciding the number of digits, then double-click and we will have the same file code with 01, 02, 03, referring to how many file categories we will associate to the current project. We then move on to the second tab named User, where we find all the settings related to the current operator. The user that is displayed is the username that is automatically generated when we first install Specifi. If the user should change at any time, you can modify the details by adding a new one with Add New User. Here we press the plus button again. We can enter the first name, last name, and any other information we require. Referring to the modified contents, a second user, and pressing the Set as Default button, Specifi will set the user credentials as default, and you will be asked to restart the software. Now selecting instead the main user, we can see that not all the required information has been entered. Taking a few moments to do so, in this example, we can associate the company to the user, the company we created previously, i.e. the company of the Specifi user. We associate the company to the current user, and we see that the software collates all the information that we have previously entered about this company. This is important because the information corresponds with one another when you create a job or when you create an offer. You can also add marketing materials for publishing. If you do not have a header or footer image to insert and the user has an associated company, the software will automatically retrieve and display this information as an address, email, or phone number. Once the company information has been applied to the associated user, we can click the icon illustrated with a floppy disk located in the top left corner to save our additions. Moving on to the next tab, we find the Dictionary. The dictionary table is the library of all the descriptions that we can save within Specifi. The texts can be opening, closing, signature information, or all the various terms of sale descriptions. We can do this by going to Edit each subfolder, or we can perform the task when required, or whenever we find the Dictionary button. In this example, the Dictionary button takes the user to the Offer options. This allows us to open the dictionary and add any required text fields at any time in the software, whether we are in the settings or even when we are creating an offer.